Oh, no.
It's just our Raymond, our lovable Sergeant Shaw.
All right, let's go, you men. Come on, let's go.
Come on, Sarge. Gertrude buy you beer. What's the matter him?
I'm afraid our Saint Raymond, he don't approve.
Well, maybe he's got a girl back home or something.
Him, my Raymond? Are you kidding?
Come on, Freeman, get up. Let's go. Hey, Silver, how about the road? What do you mean, my road? Get out of here.
Thank you.
Hello everybody, this is Richard Stashy from Tinker to Tales.
And us.
And today I'm going to be talking about another Manchurian Candidate video. Like every rabbit hole needs to be explained, this was going to talk about the Movie Life magazine and how I came about it. One of the reasons why I wanted to play the Manchurian Candidate's opening scene in the full aspect is because I wanted to illustrate the Korean woman in the background that was reading the magazine that you saw her like a couple times before you actually saw the close-up. If you carefully examine the 4 screenshots and the 5th one with the woman holding the magazine at a close-up, you notice that these magazines are not the same. And believe it or not, I actually looked for the magazine and ended up purchasing it on eBay for like $20.
But why did you buy the magazine from eBay for like $20?
Because it was a good sale. Well, I wanted to find out if the magazine had any significance or importance. I did notice some similarities between Manchurian Candidate and The Shining, especially with the stack of the books scene. Then it got me wondering, like the TV scene in The Shining and the similarities that I've noticed in Persona. So I wondered what happened if this magazine in the Manchurian Candidate holds similarities in The Shining.
Where Jack grabs the Playgirl magazine in the lobby, which some people think is significant and other people, including myself, think it's not.
Yeah, so...
So you wanted to see if this magazine scene was significant to the Manchurian Candidate. And you think not the content of the magazine, but the people on the cover, or at least the woman on the cover, is significant.
Yes, that's what I kind of think it is. So my first main question that I did have was this magazine during the time frame of 1952? That's when this event was happening. And I was checking the dates for it, and I did find it. This magazine came out in 1951. The real interesting thing about this magazine, the 2 cover people on the magazine is Janet Leigh and Tony Curtis. And a little trivia, while filming the Manchurian Candidate, the actress Janet Leigh was given her divorce papers from Tony Curtis. But I don't think that's the reasoning for this magazine. I think the reasoning for this magazine is that Janet Leigh is an actress in movie life and in the reality of the Manchurian Candidate. And therefore, the character that's playing Janet Leigh, I think, is something else, not Janet Leigh the actress.
Everybody in this generation recognizes Janet Leigh as the woman from Psycho, but when she was in Psycho, she was also a accomplished and successful actress.
Yeah.
And that's one of the legendary things about that movie is that she died in the first scene, and she was one of the biggest names in that movie. At the time this movie was filmed, and at the time of that scene in 1952, Janet Leigh was not an obscure actress. She was a pretty famous actress at the time, famous enough to be on the cover of this 1951 magazine, Movie Life, which was well known, at least according to the movie, at that time.
In the scene of the garden scene, that happens during the dream sequences.
Yeah, the dream sequence.
And what's really puzzling to me is, like, there's a dream sequences that goes into full detail on how these soldiers were manipulated into their own hypnotic suggestion of what the surroundings is. And the problem is that this is the only thing that happens throughout the entire movie that indicates it. And as I pointed out in my other video, I was trying to say that I kind of feel like there was a hypnotic suggestions going on through the entire movie, and we just don't really know it.
Right. So what we established in the last video is that the dream sequences that are being covered in the beginning of the Manchurian Candidate are sort of an introduction to the viewer that these soldiers have been brainwashed. They're being mind controlled and manipulated.
Yeah.
So the dream sequences are, if you look at it from that perspective, a key that they may continue to be having these hallucinations or having these mind control episodes, and what they see or what we see as we're watching the movie is what they see, but it may not be exactly what is happening in real life.
Yes, and then as I was pointing out, is like my feeling is that Janet Leigh is definitely not who she seems to be.
Right.
In the movie. And as you watch the movie, there's a lot of things that seems kind of off.
Right. So in the movie, she's introduced to Frank Sinatra's character, Bennett, on a train.
Yeah.
Their exchange on the train is really weird. You should watch it many, many times and see if you can figure out what's going on. But
some of the words are actually kind of like in code.
Right. It comes across as if she's just a concerned passenger wanting to see if this guy's okay, and, you know, maybe there's a little bit of a romantic interest there. But also they're speaking in code.
Yeah, there's...
So what Richard is also trying to say is that, is it possible, he's suggesting, that since in the beginning of the movie we see this magazine with this famous actress, Janet Leigh, that we know in real life, is she also a famous actress in the movie, and is Bennett seeing her because he knows her from the magazine? He's not actually talking to the woman he sees as Janet Leigh. He's talking to someone else who, at one point, she says she was a Chinese railroad worker.
My opinion is that a person watching the movie back in 1962 when the movie came out, who might be familiar of Janet Leigh, might actually pick up that was Janet Leigh's on the cover in the magazine. It's like
if you're seeing a movie with Marilyn Monroe in it, she's playing, you know, Lucy Jones, but there's a big picture of her that says, hey, it's Marilyn Monroe behind her, right?
Yeah.
That would be really weird for that to be in the same movie. And the fact that this magazine is in this movie where it's Janet Leigh's on the cover, and then the same actress is playing in the movie, but she's not playing Janet Leigh, she's playing Eugenia Rose. Maybe she's not Eugenia Rose. Maybe she is a Chinese railroad worker, and she's, you know, part of this mind control experiment. Because in that dream sequence, the women in the garden were actually mostly men having a conference.
Yes.
Or whatever.
They were mostly men having a conference on trying to determine, they're just showing the experiments of the mind control.
Yeah.
And as we're seeing it the flip side of, as this is the experiment happened during the mind control, and this is what the individuals see. Mm-hmm. Greenhouse garden talking about hydrangeas.
But I did notice also that way she seems to look at him is like she's trying to figure him out. Like she looks at him like a doctor trying to perform an experiment.
Do you want to explain what you think "Are you Arabic" means?
Oh, the only thing I thought of was that because from all my knowledge of secret agents is that they have numbers from James Bond, so I thought maybe Arabic was like representative of, do you have a number, are you a secret agent? Because Arabic is the type of number category or whatever we...
The number system that we have.
Yeah, that's what it's called, Arabic.
Alright, this is the second time we see Janet Leigh in the story. This is right after when Marco has a fight with the Asian guy in the office, and he's locked up in jail. And what's really, really strange is this guy in the background here is putting his pants on.
Who's the guy putting his pants on? The guy he just caught with?
No, just some guy in the
Oh,
background
no, a man putting his pants
as Janet Leigh's walking into the police precinct. There's a guy putting his pants on. The only other interesting thing that happens during this scene here, and I think it happens really very early in the scene in the car, is they pass by a show with a marquee sign, and I guess the movie that's playing is from 1961, and it's assumingly this story is supposed to be taking place during 1954.
Well, that's a dude they just kissed.
So we could also assume that this has been going on for weeks or months too, right? Because one thing that's interesting about this movie, it doesn't really actually put a time stamp on everything that happens.
No.
So
But it does it in the beginning?
well, the only time we have is in the beginning of the story. It says 1952
Yeah.
Korea. And like I said, the magazine is from 1951.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the only...
Right, and at the end, don't they say that Jocelyn girl went away to France for 2 years or something?
Yeah, she's supposed to go away for 2 years.
But then again, that means you have to take everything they're telling you at face value. And if you're being deceived throughout this movie, you can't trust any of it.
No, you can't. And then, like I said, there was supposed to be a movie playing on the marquee from 1961.
So we really
it's...
don't know how much time has passed.
No, we don't know for sure. And assumingly it could be from 1961. Now, I'm just focusing on Janet Leigh because there's a whole bunch of other characters to talk about too. This is the fourth and final exchange with Janet Leigh in the story, and in this case, this is towards the end after what has transpired. Mm-hmm. Try not to spoil too much of the movie, I guess. Mm-hmm. For some reason, she just sits there with her hands held together, doesn't say anything. It's like a very short segment of her, and everything else is basically him just reading off from a book. The other thing about during my investigation on the Manchurian Candidate, I am doing a little cheat sheet, looking at IMDb from other people talking about the continuity errors, differences, and other things people have noticed. And I am using that as my source of information when I'm looking into this stuff.
Your only source of information?
Well, some of my sources, but it's basically the only source that I could really use because it's not really lumping into what I'm looking for, because they're just basically talking about things that they think is wrong with the film, mm-hmm. but it is helping me out because I'm actually using it to help me pinpoint, like, are these really wrong or are these intentional? Yeah. In this case, a lot of things about his uniform is supposed to be wrong. For example, so I probably will get more detail about the uniform when I'm talking about Marco, as well as talking about Shaw, because his uniform is supposed to be off too, and I think those, like I said before, this is not like a Stanley Kubrick movie where Stanley Kubrick is using a continuity differences between one scene to another scene. This is more like, if you know what's going on, you'll pick it up, and if you don't know what's going on, you won't notice it. Anyway, this is Richard Stashy from Take Her to Tales.
And us.
Yeah, we do have a little one with us because apparently she does not want to go to sleep, so it's making things a little bit difficult here. I'm trying to get these videos put together here, and hopefully you have any questions or anything you guys want to add to the comments, please do so.
Anything you noticed?
Anyway, this is Richard Stashy from Take Her Tales.
Okay.
And hopefully it won't be too long for the next video.
Yeah, thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.